because we started in Portugal, we did this workshop there and also visited some places. After we went to Spain to see one of the students that are really following, he's doing his homework very well. He came to Brazil to be trained, and then we came here to help him set up, and now we went back to see how he's doing, and we're very happy. And also to show you that it's not a tropic thing. It's syntropic farming, but not for the tropics only. Okay, we can do this in the ocean if we want to. And that's why we don't say agroforestry either, because you can work in, in Mongolia, for example, they don't have trees there. It's a different kind of environment, and it works. Okay?
So here you have a system that was set up 2017 in March with a group of people, students, together with Ernest. We're on the south coast of Spain, close to the sea, very strong winds, very dry soil. It was an old farm with olive trees originally, and they transformed one area with syntropic farming. What you see here is in July, and from March until July, that place has not been irrigated. When I arrived there, the whole landscape was dry. It was just yellow. It was dust.
They have 250 to 350 millimeters per year of rainfall. So who is farmer here knows why.
È un decimo di qua, meno di un decimo di qua di acqua del cielo.
And this was the system set up and what it looked like without irrigation. To that point they have harvested sweet peppers, tomatoes, potatoes, onions, herbs, spices, artichokes, what else is in there?
This is recent.
Yeah, these are the old, and this is one we were revisiting now 3 weeks ago. So it's the system after winter. Now the trees have grown drastically, but you can hardly see them because now they're
there's a line of the tree here, line of trees there, because possibly in 1 week it will be like this. We're just not in the right time, but it will be like covered with the crown of these trees.
And we worked with species to grow organic matter. In this case it was robinia that were the main deliverer for organic matter. And in this first row, for example, Ernest had a system implemented with prickly pear, the cactus, as a windbreak, and he used them in all the rows. Whenever he planted the trees, there was a prickly pear as a water reserve next to the tree, in harmony with the tree growing.
And when you have problems in understanding the name of the species, please, guys, here, help us with prickly pear, for example.
Pico d'India.
Pico d'India,
Yes.
the selvagem. Okay, guys, this introduction we did is just to let you know that we're not going to talk about farming for the next hour or two, because it is one of the greatest things that syntropic farming brings to us is a new mindset, a new way of seeing things. And it's not esoteric, it's not religious, it's not alternative, it's not hippie, it's none of this. It is a scientific-based, knowledge-based framework. And sometimes it's counterintuitive, because we were taught to believe that an ecosystem works based on certain guidelines, and now I will provoke you to think in a different way. It's the same way Ernest did with us 10 years ago, and he still does. Okay? And first of all, I think it's nice to see how our society is organized and has been organized. For this, we can say it's after revolution. You know, the great, how I say, the great speed. Come si dice? La grande accelerazione. It doesn't make sense to you. When we have this exponential growth, and we now believe that is we blame it for all problems we have. because we speed it up after the Second World War, after the Industrial Revolution. So we have this kind of model. The economy is the most important thing, and the economy influences the technology, and the technology plus the economy just use the ecosystem like a source of richness and resources. We just do whatever we want with this. We discharge everything in the ecosystem, regardless the ecosystem's desire or natural expression. And since the 80s, we started to include the social side of it, because then we have the environmental movements that, from the 50s and 60s started to be more concerned about environment, but still we are anthropocentric in an anthropocentric society. We believe that we have to help sometimes my English will but give me a break. We decided, and of course it makes sense, that we need to take care of people, because that system here put a lot of people in trouble, right? And then we decided now we are nice people and we are going to include the social realm of it, the social aspect of it. But yet and still we are discharging in the environment. I don't have to say you. We see Haiti, for example. We are invited to go to thousands, I wouldn't say thousands, but dozens and hundreds of projects in Africa, in Haiti, in some places that we try to go first, but they put the social side in first. They put social here. And the ecosystem still is getting all our, can I curse? All our crap, is still getting, we are still treating the ecosystem as a prostitute. There is no other word for that. They put people first. It's nice, but it has no future. Sorry, it has no future. So, as long as we don't see the ecosystem, the laws of the ecosystem that will provide to us what we need, it's just pretentious. It's just pretentious of human beings that we believe that we can, just being humans, change everything and still survive. It's not only stupid, it is pretentious. We have to save the planet. It is so pretentious. The planet is getting rid of us. I'm sure about this. The ecosystem is getting rid of us because we are destroying. We are destroying what we need to survive. And many NGOs and many sustainable farming premises work in this direction. People first, ecosystem second. And then we have some regenerative agriculture, and we have some organic farming. I've been walking around some organic farming, it's really scary. It's not, it's just conventional organic agriculture. We have to be careful with, how we are spending this energy. It's still anthropocentric. It's still very anthropocentric. And to make it short, what Ernest proposes as we should be aiming at is to have the ecosystem at the top, because the laws are given. We are sons of it, not in a hippie way. We appeared on this planet after a sequence of evolution of life that happened here. We can't avoid this. And we are absolutely dependent on this. And this should be what we would need to be trying to understand how it works in order to build a society that makes sense. That an intelligent society, as Ernest said, is a biophilic society. Not this very anthropocentric society, and that's why suicidal model. Because this is what all civilizations did before us. It's cool to read a book named Dirt, The Erosion of Civilizations. The guy tells the story of civilizations from the perspective of soil use. So farming is a very strong activity that passes through civilizations. And we are just taking the same steps. What is happening to us now happened in history many times. We are just repeating it. Even the activism like offering new kinds of solutions everywhere, people becoming more and more esoteric, more energy related. It's the same. We are just, doing the same thing again. So if we need to change, we need to do something more drastically and learn from the past, because otherwise we're just going away, really. So, Ernest has a say that is very nice. He says that be careful with your dreams, with what you dreams, what you do. As a dreamer, as a person, okay, I want that, because your dreams become your thoughts, and your thoughts become your desires, and your desires become your actions, and your actions will design, influence your personality, your character. And when we have a whole bunch of people thinking, dreaming the same way, we build a culture. And our culture now is destructive. Even with the most modern sustainability premises and practices, we're still destructive. Sorry to say that. I'm not saying that Sintropic farming will bring all solutions, because we need the whole society to do that. But what we believe that is good now, it is still not good enough. We are still repeating the same mistakes. What we believe that is good, that is sustainable now, is what people in ancient Rome, in ancient Macedonia did in order to save their crop fields. It didn't work. It didn't work, because we are still depleting, slow by slow, the natural capital. Okay? So, the social has to be under its law. And once we understand what goes on here, it will define what we think. And by defining what we think, it will also dialogue with technology in order to make and build technology that is more life-friendly, and not to destroy life the way we do now. Also, the economy. The economy cannot. The economy is the most stupid thing on earth, because the economy, we think, is like endless. It's an open. We believe it is an open system, which doesn't make any sense. It's so stupid. We're just killing future generations because we think our GPD has to grow. It's absolutely stupid. As humans, it's embarrassing that we do things the way we do. And here, the farmer, it's not because in the center, because the farmer is the most important. Not. It's just here because the person, the groups that are on land, that are working and intervening with the ecosystem, they should dialogue with everyone. They should dialogue with the social side, because it solves it all. They should dialogue with the economy, because they will say what can be done and what can't. And they will also have to talk with philosophy, because what are we thinking of our society? To build the culture, we need this. We need philosophy to build a culture, because we all have masters. We think that we are, oh no, I am a free mind. Sorry, you are not. I mean, our minds have masters, many masters. Everything we learned in the past, those ideas are our masters. We always have masters. We have to change our masters, or we have to rethink our masters. Okay, that's why we need to. This is absolutely important, to change the mindset. Technology, I already said, economy and social, and that's it. And then all of that will define which practices make sense and which practices don't make sense. Then it comes the question, in order to understand and in order to build this philosophy, to build like a social arrangements and the economy and technology and which kind of practice we're going to do, we need to understand what laws are here. How does this ecosystem work? Science tries to do that, but we know it more or less. The trend of science, the trend of knowledge is to be more the top expert in the little things that doesn't make any sense when it's outside the whole. Okay, do you understand this? Okay, it's all fine, so good so far. Cold? Cold, huh? Okay, hug to each other, guys. And now, we'll start talking about the way we see things, the glasses we put in order to interpret an ecosystem, and how Ernest, and not only Ernest, but many thinkers, many good nature observers, how they came to a conclusion on how this ecosystem works. Okay, this is just out of curiosity. It's just to show you how hard it is for us to work with Ernest sometimes. Because last year when we are writing a book about this, and I finished my master, and we're trying to harvest Ernest's knowledge, because Ernest's knowledge is very systemic and complex. It's not organized. So it's really a communication challenge to extract the knowledge from him in an organized way. And then we send a lot of things and say, no, this is good, but this is not. He's very reluctant to separate, to fragment the knowledge, and he wants to have all the rules in the same place. So he did this. That's why you see 3 pages, very easy to copy. So the idea is, what are the fundamental principles of syntropic farming? What should we learn? How should we see the ecosystem in order to take our decisions as farmers? Not only as farmers, but as consumers as well, as human beings, as a participant of this ecosystem, all ecosystems. I like it very much. Okay, you see here, there will be 3 categories. You see? The first of all, instrumentation. Okay? Hey, come with me now, huh? Okay. Life on this planet, according to Ernest Miller, it is part of the planet's strategy to fulfill its task. We'll break it down. Okay, we'll break it down. Those laws are given. Life on this planet just happens. I mean, we can't avoid this. And it's been happening for the past 4 billion years, 3.8 billion years. And life has, I don't know, we can't explain why, it is. It is the strategy of the planet. And it happens. It would be very pretentious of us, to say and to assume that it should be otherwise. And life, since it started, it adapts itself with the energy that comes from the sun, from the cosmos. So we have some glacial periods, and we have some other periods. I mean, everything happens, and then we are a planet that is just rolling around the galaxy, and sometimes we get closer to the sun, and sometimes we get further apart to the sun, and we have our ice age, and then we have other kinds of ages, and forestries, and you all understand that, right? And what happened in this past 12,000 years is that we started to warm up. The planet started to warm up a little bit after the last glaciation. And as I said, everything became forest. 88 to 90% of this planet just turned into a forest. It's not up to us to decide, to say if it's right or wrong. It is. I mean, there's nothing to disagree with. It doesn't make any sense. Oh, no, here shouldn't be a forest. Okay, it's your opinion, but if you leave, it will turn into a forest. Now, and according to Ernest, it is tough for us humans, because as Homo sapiens sapiens, we appeared 35,000 years ago in the middle of this glaciation. And here in Europe, we had a beautiful, dry, and open fields. It was a savanna or a steppe, a cold steppe here in this place. And all humans came from this environment. The modern man came from this environment. And when the weather changed, we're still trying to recreate the savannas. We're still, instead of adapting, as some people did in the Amazon, in the Central America, some indigenous people did, we just decided, okay, let's recreate our savannas and just cut down forests. And we've been doing this for the last 12,000 years. No, if you study the history of agriculture, it's a slash and burn since the beginning. When I say, oh, you have to go back to that traditional way of farming, sorry, there isn't. There isn't. I mean, not dominant ways of farming. There are, of course, what we call protocultura. I don't know in English how to say that. It's not real farming. It's just like a way of people, native people from the forest, for example, in the Amazon. The way they deal is a mix of foraging with some agricultural practices. It's, of course, is a way they mingle with the environment and they manage the environment. It's wonderful, but it's not to be compared with agriculture. Agriculture is something that we use as a mainstream in our civilization. Okay, so there is no turning back to anywhere. We just destroyed everything that happened before in a mainstream way. It was not good enough. That's why we are in this situation now. Okay, so the planet is a strategy of being. Life is a strategy of being. It shows a trend, and we have to understand how this trend is, because now we have forests. How this forest, how its dynamics, so we can include ourselves in this way. I will explain a little bit later what Sintropy is, before, or should we do it now? And instrumentation, okay, of the emergency of species. According to this way of thinking, the planet is just rolling around the sun and getting energy and trying to adapt to the energy it gets. Like some species appear and disappear all the time in order to keep the planet, the life on this planet working. Okay? Does it make sense to you? So each species that emerges during this process, it comes to fulfill certain tasks in order to keep this balance with the universe. We don't get just a little energy from outside. It's pretty much, Callum Coates says, it's like a rose. Como se dice rose in Italiano? Una mangueira, a pipe of water. Imagine with energy that you just all the time in the planet. So the planet tries to find a way of dealing with this energy that it's getting, trying to protect, build like a field force for itself that ultimately created all conditions of life and for our existence. I think you all know, you all understand that if it wasn't for life on this planet, we would be like Mars or Venus maybe. There wouldn't be atmosphere. There wouldn't be nothing. We are sons of this process. Okay, we depend on this process to survive. So it's very stupid for us to mess up with the way life reacts to the energy that receives from the cosmos. Okay, so all species that emerge, they emerge somehow to do something. And it is important to this functioning. And again, and in the same line, all individuals of all species on this planet, they are preconditioned by the behavior of the previous generations. This is very interesting. We are very concerned about biodiversity. We are very concerned about numbers. We need more biodiversity. Biodiversity is just a tool the planet uses to fulfill its tasks. And as we are creating poorer and poorer conditions of life, it reflects in future generations of plants and us. A very nice study that was made with humans of 12 to 15,000 years ago, which is just like us, precisely like us, Homo sapiens sapiens. They were, in average, 10 centimeters taller. They had stronger bones and stronger jaws, and much less genetic problems. We are now full of genetic issues. It's like this is what happens when a species is decaying. We are decaying as species because we are eating crap. We are we are just we are destroying ecosystems for future generations. So next generations will have more trouble, more resilience to deal with it, with this lack of conditions of life. That's what's happening to us. We don't have nutrition enough, even with organic farming. You know, we are not being good humans. We're not being good animals. That's why now we are a little bit short. We have a lot of diseases. It makes sense. It's not me telling, it's not Ernest saying, it's science. Okay? As humans, we are decayed genetically. So it shows that it also is a species going to extinction. Yeah, that's it. The appearance of new species is result of the change of life conditions. If we change the environment, you know, the planet itself, it's what it does, will make, based on its genetical plasticity, will emerge new species to keep and try to balance with this energy that comes from the universe. It's always, as Ernest says, the instrumentality of life in relation to the planet remains the same. You know, the planet is dealing with this energy that comes from the cosmos in a certain way, and it remains the same. But depending on our position, if it's closer to the sun, if it's further to the sun, it will change. And it will make other kinds of species appear, as we see. For example, when we had glaciation, we had those large animals, like mammoth or other kind of animals, that they were able to manage large areas. Never think of an animal, of a plant. Always think of the strategy of the ecosystem. This changes a lot the way we see things. We'll get to that more. Okay, and the second realm of Ernest's idea is functioning, how it works. It works through succession, natural succession of species. This is one of the most important concepts we use for syntropic farming. When we think that, now I want you to try an exercise of, how you say, abstraction. Okay, think as life on this planet as just one organism. One macroorganism, okay? Can you close your eyes and picture of it? It's just life being one macroorganism. The same way we think as ourselves, one organism, although we have millions or trillions of organisms living with us. Bacteria, fungi, archaea, algae, we have it all. We have it all. But we consider ourselves as one. So in this sense, try to think of whole life on this planet as one life that is interconnected. Okay, this life evolves, and the same way as us, it needs to renew its cells once in a while in order to maintain some genetic plasticity. So think of every species is a cell of this macroorganism. Every consortium of plants is a group of cells that make this macroorganism work. And sometimes it needs to be renewed. It's just like us. Every 7 years, I guess, all cells in our body are just replaced, right? We don't have any cell that was before after 7 years. Not that they happen at once, but they start to change slowly. So in this macroorganism, when we see life on this planet as a macroorganism, it is just perfection, and it has all genetic conditions, plasticity, from the simplest kind of life to the most, I wouldn't say evolved, but the most complex kinds of life. It has ways and means to adapt to every condition. And that's why when we degrade, and even in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, even when we have a nuclear disaster, life has this plasticity, has genetic potential to start over, because it has a lot of information gathered from many many things that the planet has been through.